everything.
You have, indeed, you have. But I want to ask you, like you know as well as I do, that these struggles, somehow there's been a lot of financial crisis or financial allegation surrounding SCBC. You, being the CEO, how do you intend to solve this crisis that keep coming up every now and then, every time and again? There's always some money in SCBC. How do you intend to solve it?
Well, I believe that it's a very simple problem to be resolved with the fact that SCBC has been given an autonomy for the board to look for creative ways to run the channel in a way that it will generate income. But before I even get into that, I want us to look at some numbers on SCBC. So we do a cost-benefit analysis on SCBC. The interim government, or when it used to be SCACUF, spends around $11,500 on SCBC on operational costs. That's the money that is paid, $9,000 to our service provider, main service provider, and the rest to other service providers. I did a video sometime in September. It is available on the SCBC Facebook page, and I did a breakdown on the cost structure on SCBC. There's also a lot of people out there who are saying that the SCBC team, they refuse to give the SCBC documents, the contract to people. And on that video, because there was a lot of accusations out as well, I did a breakdown, and I even covered the details on the contracts, and I showed all those contracts and invoices on that presentation. So if somebody is really interested to go through the financial breakdown of SCBC to get to this $11,500 cost, I'll invite that person to go back and watch that presentation that I did. It's very detailed. It's a breakdown. It explains all of it. So that cost comes up to $11,500 that our interim government spends a month. Now that's a lot of money in the struggle to be spent on a TV. But what does that translate to? What do we get from spending $11,500? Our statistics on TV viewership alone puts us at 1.2 million TV sets connected to SCBC, the SCBC channel. Let us assume that only a quarter of that number is found actually in ground zero. So we have 300,000 homes in ground zero with TV sets connected to SCBC. Mind you, SCBC is broadcasting information, education, and passing messages from our interim government or from then the governing council to the home front 24 hours a day from the day it was created. If you calculate, SCBC has been offline for probably less than 3 days from the beginning of SCBC. If you put all the times that we got offline together, it would hardly make total of 3 days. Now, let us go further. If we are reaching 300,000 homes, it is logical to say in each home, at least 2 people watch SCBC. Now it brings us to the government of the people of Southern Cameroon bringing information to 600,000 people on ground zero, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that cost of bringing that information, it's $11,500. What does that translate to if we want to take cost per person for SCBC reaching 1 viewer at home? If you calculate $11,500 divided by 600,000 viewers, you will get exactly 0.0191 US dollars. If you translate that into foreign money, La Republique money, it would work out to 10 12.090 francs CFA. So arguably, let's round it up. For 11 francs CFA, our interim government transmits information via SCBC 24 hours a day, every day a month, to our people in Ground Zero. Now, I want our people, our viewers, to judge for themselves. Is that cost effective or is that expensive? So that puts into perspective the money that we spend on SCBC. Secondly, what people don't know, SCBC runs on equipment. And this equipment, it's equipment owned by some of us who run this channel. It's our personal equipment. There is nowhere the interim government or SCACUF ever bought those equipment. We are running on our equipment. It's only this month, for the first time, that we requested that because there is wear and tear on our equipment, we need to start getting rentage for those equipment. And that rentage will increase the expenses of the interim government to $12,000. If you break that down, it will still give you around, arguably, 12.67 francs per person. That is how much this information, this SCBC reaches 600,000 people. That is how much it costs to reach each people. Around, let's put it as 15 francs. How much is an SMS? One SMS to send home. But that is the cost that SCBC brings to our government. So let our people judge for themselves if that is cost effective. So this is for us to understand the cost structure of SCBC. Of course, there are other expenses of SCBC that we, the team that manages SCBC, bore. And like the SCBC website, what I didn't tell you is that the SCBC website now stands at about 650,000 viewers. That is the cost that is value that we are not calculating. SCBC app that the team also built, it now has about 47,000 downloads in the App Store. That app is able to send a push notification message to 47,000 people, like an SMS, for free. That is the value that the SCBC team has added onto SCBC for free. Just yesterday on our perspective, we launched the Amazon Fire TV app, SCBC Go and SCBC Catch Up. Now, if you have the Amazon Fire TV, the small flash drive in your home in America, you can connect to SCBC and watch from your screen. You can connect from Europe. Today, when I was looking at the back end of it, I saw people in California, I saw people in France, I saw people in Germany watching SCBC from Amazon Fire. This is the value that the team has all added to SCBC. I wanted to put a base to our people to understand what benefits we are getting at from SCBC for this amount. That is the cost. Can we now at SCBC be able to, maybe Gilly, you should rephrase the question, but I think I've put a base and then I will answer the question right now. Thank you.
Okay, talking about that, I think I don't want to ask you the next question, what SCBC can do. You being the CEO, how much do you get paid?
How much?
For doing, how much do you get paid?
I don't get paid to work at SCBC. I work for SCBC for the potential. My contract for SCBC, I told the board that if within 6 months I'm able to get SCBC to be having an income through its work of at least $30,000, then I will take a salary out of SCBC. Then my team will take a salary out of SCBC. I've never been paid to work in SCBC. This is a passion. We have a great team that has skills, that have volunteered their skills for us to create this magic for our people. This is our quest for freedom. And if anybody thinks that I've ever gotten paid or knows that I've ever gotten paid, please come out to the Ambazonian people and tell them and show them proof. Don't just accuse. Come and show the proof of that payment that you paid me. Now, everybody that has ever given money to SCBC from Abomo Life family, from various countries, when you send your money to SCBC, you get a receipt. An acknowledgement receipt that is sent back to you. Why? That is for record keeping. That is for record keeping, so that 10 years, 5 years down the line, when we are no longer at SCBC, if some people want to look at the track record of SCBC, they would see how the management started from the beginning right up till this day. So that is it. But you asked the question, how can SCBC, earn its own money? How do we plan to do that? And I will explain. And I like the fact that I'm with SCBC audience, and I want to explain them this. I've already given an argument as to why SCBC is a valuable investment for the Ambazonian people. SCBC is owned by the Ambazonian government for the Ambazonian people. Now, how can we make SCBC to start making money? For any TV channel to make money, it comes through advertisement. But the thing here is a majority of our viewers are on ground zero, and our occupier will not allow them to do business on SCBC. So if you put an advert of a business from ground zero, what will happen is they will literally go shut down that business, or they will target that person. So SCBC takes out that option of making money from ground zero, but that is the key audience of SCBC. That is the core value of SCBC, to service ground zero, and that is all that SCBC has done from creation till this day. But then SCBC is still a TV station owned by the Southern Cameroon's government, based in Boya, and that TV needs to make money, but then it just can't make money in Ambazonia. How can we do that? So the last time I spoke to Sisiko, when I was met the CEO, he said, Derric, I want to see you making money from SCBC. Do whatever you can do as a business consultant and start making money for SCBC. So right now, do I have a strategy? Yes, I have a strategy. And I want to share that strategy with fellow viewers, the people who own SCBC. We need more viewers of SCBC from around the globe, so that they can be able to advertise on SCBC, and SCBC would make money from that advertisement. Now you'll ask me, how do we get this more viewers on SCBC? I just talked about the Amazon Fire TV. That is to bring SCBC to homes in North America, in Europe, and everywhere in the world where you have the Amazon TV, the TV stick, you can have SCBC in your home. That is us going after increasing viewers. But then what if we want to not only increase viewers, but also advocate for the struggle? We can do exactly what Bitcoin has done to the financial industry, and that is the plan that I have for SCBC to execute. We will disrupt media, the media space in Africa. Now, this 24 hours a day, I want to take those 24 hours and tell the Ambazonian people that me and my team, we will take out 2 hours of TV and we will make it focus on Africa. And we will hire journalists, top journalists from all African countries that we have interest in, that we feel that can support our government. And these journalists would be independent journalists that have strong opinion, especially against their government. And we will be paying them a good salary to report for SCBC Africa. What will these journalists do? They will uncover all the dirty deals that their governments are doing. They will report them on SCBC Africa. It will make viewers, it will be exciting, because people in a country for South Africa where the government is stifling media will out of the sudden be able to get an activist journalist in South Africa reporting and said, listen, the government just made this shady deal with Russia, the government just made this shady deal with China, and all that. What will that do to South Africa? It will put the government of South Africa under pressure. But interestingly, the only way South Africa can get to SCBC is to go to the Ambazonian government and talk. Same thing in Ghana, same thing in Nigeria, same thing in Ethiopia. Any country that we choose and we are able to hire a good journalist, journalist that has a good profile in that country that can do investigative journalism, especially against their government, we will be able to make that program popular, because the people of that country are already stifled information. The poor people are already suffering. They are in a struggle like us, Southern Cameroonians. So the best way to tell our story is to take a little bit of time, maybe an hour or two a day, and tell other stories across Africa. Then we will have Africans flogging in to watch SCBC. That will result into advertising revenue. That will result into advocacy for the Ambazonian government, because for any government to tell us to stop exposing them, they will have to go and talk to the Ambazonian government. They don't have a choice. So is that a better strategy for us Ambazonians? I think so.
Go to the next question. I would like to ask you a question that's been asked on Facebook before I ask you the next question, just to break it down a bit. And the question goes, why have you refused? Let me read the question.
Okay.
Derric, why has SCBC not brought the show of other leaders if SCBC is a Southern Cameroon state?